Amazon Web Services unveiling a new chip intended to take on NVIDIA, of course, in those cloud wars. Kristina Partsinevelos joins us now. She's in Austin, Texas, and has more for us this morning. Kristina.
David, this is where AWS's chips are born. This is Annapurna Labs. It's owned by AWS. And like you said, today they are announcing their new Graviton 4 chip will offer 600 gigabytes per second of networking bandwidth. So this is a CPU and really shows how their custom chip strategy is competing against, the big dogs like Intel and AMD. And I just want to preface where I'm at right now. This used to be super top secret. We were never allowed in here. But you can see Gustavo here is working on an actual wafer. This is where everything begins, and he's testing it to make sure, focus on the longevity of chips on this particular wafer for customers. And really how AWS is going to compete, the real battle has to do with NVIDIA and AI. And I say that because recently AWS announced that they were going to be launching hundreds of thousands of their Trainium 2 chips, which compete directly with NVIDIA, and they're deploying it to build the largest AI supercomputer for Anthropic. And you think about it, traditionally, that would be a massive order that would have went to NVIDIA. The difference, though, between AWS and NVIDIA is that AWS doesn't sell the individual parts. Customers have to use the entire system, which is why there's so many people working behind me here today. I spoke to the director of this lab, Annapurna Labs, who said that they are open to change that. Listen in.
It is possible that if there is a customer demand, that we would consider making this available, making the components available to others. But currently, we are not in a mode to be able to do this, because even for AWS customers, we're not able to supply the demand that's required.
So AWS is staying closed for now, but those words were very familiar, something we've heard from NVIDIA's CEO as well, that just supply can't keep up with demand. But the secret weapon for AWS is their price point. They reportedly sell their chips at a much lower price point compared to the likes of, let's say, NVIDIA. Guys?
Kristina, while we have you, I know yesterday shares of AMD, which you also cover, were up sharply. There was this rumor that maybe they're going to get a new order from AWS for their GPU. It may simply have been followed through from their own roadmap that indicated continuing and increasing demand from the likes of OpenAI or XAI or Meta and others for their chips. Just curious as to what, if anything, you're hearing, given that was a very heady move yesterday in those shares.
Yeah, shares climbed over 8%, and that was one of the first things I asked when I got here. AWS said that they did not know of any new customer announcement or press release. None of them were aware of it. But from AMD's side, they did point to the fact that AWS is a customer, that they were at their AI event last Thursday. But more specifically, he said, and I quote, "It'll come in due time." So I tweeted it out yesterday, too. So that is almost a tease, right? A tease to perhaps what's to come and making a big announcement about AWS. And seems to be how a lot of these tech companies are doing it. Think about CoreWeave and Google. They are saying that, Google's not the next big customer, but really all of this information is leaking to the press. So perhaps that could be the situation with AMD, because so many sell-side analysts were expecting AWS to be, the big announcement as them as the next customer, to your point. So perhaps right now it's just a rumor, but the fact that AMD told me, in due time, Kristina. So I feel like that's a little bit of a tease as to what's to come, David.
Yeah, as we see the shares potentially poised to open higher yet again.